Thank you, Richie. And now I feel like there's a lot of pressure that I have to do well. I have to be eloquent, etc. Well, throughout the vast majority of world history, education has been a privilege of only the wealthiest members of society. Whether you were born in Heian, Japan, Gupta, India, or medieval Europe, your best chances of learning anything beyond rudimentary literacy were to enter religious training or to hire a private tutor, which was extremely expensive. This, of course, only if you were a boy, because, well, girls don't need to know anything beyond domestic skills. We know that, right? When and where in history schools did develop, such as the Roman Republic or the Qin Dynasty, anyone know the dates? The focus was almost entirely on rote memorization of a very limited array of facts. So the teacher would recite, students would write down, and memorize to the word. Don't you wish that would happen? There was brutal discipline, and who of you here could forget the days of grueling exams for the Chinese civil service, or the punishments that were enacted upon disobedient students? Anyone remember? Yes? What was it? Anyone else? Disobedient students were decapitated. For those of you who don't remember everything from 9th grade world history. In fact, the Western primary and secondary education system that we have today, while it does have roots in the 17th century, has really only existed for about 200 years and has only expanded to reach the majority of the population in the last century. So, as a history teacher, what I must do at any historic event, such as a Woods High School graduation, is zoom out, right? We have to zoom out and look at everything in context. And in the context of world history, this is incredible. An incredible accomplishment for this diverse group of students to have completed 13 years of formal schooling and now be going out into the world. Wow. When I started thinking about what I was going to say up here today, my first objective was to figure out how I was going to frame your class, which is pretty hard. I've known some of you since you were in kindergarten, many of you since 2nd, 3rd grade, and the vast majority of you since 9th grade. My very first day of teaching, first thing in the morning, it was you guys that walked in. And you defined my experience at Woods, your class. When I think about the awkward 14, 15-year-olds that you were, and the incredible young men and women that you have grown into today, well, firstly, it makes me feel old. And secondly, it makes me feel more proud than I've ever been of anything in my life. In the past 4 years, you have found your passions or changed them. You have found love in friendships and in romance, and you've been heartbroken. You have faced obstacles in your academic and in your personal lives, and you've overcome them spectacularly. The best part of it for me is I got to be there. I got to see it. I got to see you direct and act in plays and start a band and find the subjects in school that lit a fire beneath you academically so that it's all you could do to dream to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. And through all of that, what has defined you as a class has been your sense of wonder. Your class has always been interested in everything. You would run into my world history class in the morning and tell me about what you were doing in math or what you were doing in science class. And you would be excited about it. You would be so thrilled to be learning new things and to be exposed to new things. That is precious and something that I have never seen in another group of people so much as I see it in you. I still remember in world history class when some of you would literally be on the edge of your seats waiting to know what happened next. And I will never forget that wonder that you guys have about intellectual pursuits, about life, about music, about your friendships, about everything around you, because that is what made me love teaching. You guys are what made me love teaching because I loved teaching you. And I know that your other teachers feel the same way. So, you're graduating. And you're all going your different ways. But what you will always have, as Devin spoke about, as Mr. Bryan spoke about, and Mr. Temple, is your experience here together at Woods as a class. And as we send you out into the world beyond Woods, I have two pieces of advice for you. The first one is to never lose that wonder. I know you're all old and cool now, you're 18, you're grown-ups, you can vote, and you better. But you should still find wonder in everything around you. Still be those ninth graders so excited to know what was going to happen next and to explore everything in the world around you. Never lose the wonder that you have for life. My second piece of advice is that I know you guys, most of you, pretty darn well. And I know that in these 4 years, a lot of you think that you found yourselves, as Mr. Bryan was speaking about. It's fits in quite perfectly. And you think you know what you want, and you're on a track that you've got all planned out for yourself to lead a brilliantly successful life. So here's my second piece of advice. Be open to change. Never stay on a path just because you think that's what you're supposed to do or that's what you planned. Life will throw a lot of things your way, and you will lose yourself. I guarantee it. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid to admit that you've lost yourself and to figure out something new and to change yourself. There's nothing wrong with it. And of course, you'll find yourself again and lose yourself again, probably several times, but that's okay. Class of 2011, you really were my favorite. And I do love you more than I've ever loved a group of people in my life. And I wish you all the best in the world. Congratulations.